Hello, chess friend. Hello, chess friends. Welcome to the chess room. And today we're going to take a look at the tactic of... First, there are actually two types of pins. One is called an absolute pin, as in this position, by moving the queen to d4, you'll notice the rook is in an absolute pin, because if the rook moves, then the king is lost, and you cannot make a move that will allow your king to be taken. So this rook here on d5 is pinned, absolute pin. Now, black can try something like rook to e8, protecting this rook, but then all white has to do is move this pawn up. And since the rook is in an absolute pin, get the wrong arrow out of the way, the rook cannot move, and of course this pawn will take this rook on the next move. Adjust the position and the pieces on the board just a little bit and talk about a relative pin. Now, in this case, when the bishop moves to d4, this is a relative pin because the rook on d5 can move. It can go wherever it wants to go. The problem is if the rook on d5 moves, let's say to there, you would then can see that the bishop on d4 is going to take the queen. So let's move the rook, and here it is. You're going to capture the queen with the bishop, and since the queen is worth a lot more than the bishop, we call this a relative pin. The rook can move, it absolutely has to, but it's going to reveal a piece hiding behind it. We also, a more valuable piece. It's also called a skewer, but I want to show you there are pins and there are absolute pins. Again, that there are absolute pins where the piece cannot move no matter what, and relative pins where if the piece were to move, it would mean the exchange of material that would be in a negative or a loss for the one making the. An interesting example of a pin that a lot of times younger players or less experienced players will miss. First, white's a bit concerned about this knight. It is en prise, meaning it can be captured because nothing is protecting it. And concentrating on that section of the board, one would say, well, we can move this pawn pretty quickly. Or, of course, the knight could be moved to b3. And if it is, that's fine. That can be done. But I want to bring your attention to another facet on the board, which does sometimes get overlooked, and that's this particular knight can swoop in to g3, forking the queen and rook, because this pawn on f2, is caught in a pin. The queen pins the f2 pawn to the bishop. So let's just put a move on the board here for white. We're going to make a couple of moves here just to make things happen. Move the queen. And then all of a sudden black says, oh, I'll just continue on my merry way. And then this knight can swoop in. It is, let me give you the pin. There's the pin. And of course, this knight is attacking both the queen and the rook. Now, of course, in these kind of positions, you want to look at it carefully and do some calculations because you might have a checkmate combination in here. Looking at the position, probably not. But again, you always want to look before you take because the king is going to have to move. And you have to calculate. Do I... Whoops. King does not have to move. I'm not sure why I just said that. The queen's going to have to move. So let's move the queen. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. And now you have to decide, do you want the knight to swoop in and get this rook and just go up material? Or is there a mating combination here? Notice the knight does not have to move because the pin is still in place. Here's the pin again, coming down this way. We could back up again, and maybe the queen wants to move over to d2 so that the rook can get out of the way. And again, do you want to be taking it so quickly? Maybe that's a better move. Putting more pressure on f2, and it is pinned. And in this case, it's probably not a bad idea. Of course, you have to be careful that the queen might decide to break the pin. Well, that's okay if it does. That's one thing you can do. Of course, in this position, you want to be careful because this bishop could come down and kind of spoil everything on you. So it may be profitable simply to take. But I wanted you to see that kind of a pin coming down this diagonal. Let me draw the diagonal for you. It's this diagonal. And then sometimes if black has a pawn on here on f7, of course, if you have a bishop or a queen, you can do the same thing. Take advantage of pins. When you get a pin, the best thing to do is to pile on the pin to see if you can win the piece. Because your opponent's going to have to defend the piece, but also try to get out of the pin at the same time. Sometimes you just can't get out of the pin fast enough, and you end up losing material because you're piling on. Pin is a very good tool, very good tactic, and I hope you get to use it in your chess games. This is Mike Koplitz, coach, Royal Rooks Chess Club, York, Pennsylvania, signing off. Happy chess to you.